let's turn to Leper. Where are my Chapter 9 groups? 1, 2. Is that it? Just 2? Okay. Josiah, what does Leper say about skiing in relation to the war? And if you could give me a page reference for this, that would be great.
We said that Leper said that you must evolve or like whatever you're doing.
Hold on, you're going to the general principle. Let's talk about skiing specifically. Let's talk about just what happened to skiing through the war. What do you say happened to skiing? Devontae, help him out.
Was it talking about the skiers and he was talking about how they were like recognizable from the places of the war?
Oh, true. He's watching that recruitment film, right? By the way, folks, it's not a recruitment video. They didn't have video back then. It's a recruitment film. Watching the recruitment film, and he sees shiny, happy faces of ski troops in their perfect white. That's true. But we have to talk about what happened to skiing. Let's backtrack then. Let's backtrack a moment. In Chapter 7, when he was skiing, what kind of skiing was he doing? What he calls touring, what we would probably call cross-country. It's like a walk on skis. Well, it's a bit more vigorous than a walk, but still, it's not racing. And those ski troops, what are they doing? What we might call downhill skiing. Now, initially, in Chapter 7, Leper said he hated downhill skiing. He saw no point in rushing anywhere. Why? When you can relax and look at nature. So, now considering that backtracking, Connor, what happened? What's his explanation for the shift? Were you going to say something else?
Well, I was just saying, like, doesn't he like the cross-country because he looked at cities and likes nature?
Right.
So he doesn't understand why they want to go to that, like, as fast as they can.
That was in Chapter 7. Now we're in Chapter 9. And he does say that he understands, and he provides an explanation.
It says that if you're in the war, then you don't have time to stop and look at the things. You're too busy going forward.
You've got to be in a hurry. You're in war. You can't just relax and look at the countryside. You must get to where you're going fast. So he understands. But what's the key word? Josiah, I think you had this key word. What does he say skiing did? What did skiing do in relation to the war? Evolved. Do we have a page reference yet? 125. I said page 35 is one of the key pages of the novel when we're talking about the difference in views of sports. 125 is another key page of the novel. How can you reword Leper's statement to apply to people as well as skiing? It's an interesting question. And gentlemen, David, what did you find out?
I believe that, like, in a human world, that people should adapt or change their personalities and adapt to situations to change their outlook to prosper in life.
Excellent. You must adapt to situations. You must adapt to situations. You must roll with situations. You must understand what's happening to you and make changes to accommodate it. How does this statement provide perspective on the characters and their problems? Connor.
People are coming up on draft age, so they have to adapt or evolve to become ready for the war.
And who is not adapting? Finney. How is he not adapting? Connor has just hit on a major development of the novel. And this is what Knowles is doing. Knowles is saying, guess what, folks? What's Leper's quotation? What's the principle on page 120? Everything has to evolve or else it perishes. I believe that's the direct quote. Everything has to evolve or else it perishes. Finney is not evolving, adapting to war. He doesn't understand negativity, so he wouldn't understand a war. He thinks that everybody should win. How can you run into a war with that mentality? You can't. You must adapt, but he's not. What's happening to him? Well, Leper gives this principle. Everything has to evolve or else it perishes. What's happening to Finney? He's dying. A big part of him is already dead. What part of him is dead? Sports, which were his life. He failed to adapt, failed to understand the negativity and envy that was present in his best friend. He was too idealistic and too blind. Leper has just given us on page 125 a guiding principle for the entire novel. Some might call it a theme. Hint, hint. Everything has to evolve or else it perishes. Let's see it in skiing. Let's see it in people. Let's apply it to Finney. Now we understand Finney. So who's still in question at this point in terms of evolution? Gene's very much in question. Do we have any doubts about Gene? Concerns that he might not be able to evolve? Do you have evidence that he might not be evolving or adapting properly?
You talked about when they were becoming railroad, how we saw that soldiers, how they were like always fun.
Doesn't sound like adapting or growing up to me. Sounds very much like it's Finney's view. Also in question is Leper. Until he